Hello, today I wanted to talk to you about life in general, about one's achievements over the course of their lifetime, and about to what extent all of this is predetermined by fate, how much of it is dictated by one's free will, their own volition, or how much of it ultimately comes down to good luck or chance. So let's begin with the notion of luck. Frank Sinatra famously sang, "Luck be a lady tonight." As for fate, that has frequently been described, certainly in the English language, as being a cruel mistress. And then ultimately we come to one's own volition, their free will. Often, particularly these days, it's all the rage to have self-help gurus, to have exponents of personal development talking about how just by goal setting or by having the right frame of mind, positive mental attitude, you can ultimately achieve anything you set out to do. YouTube, nay, is awash with examples of motivational videos. The irony is, of course, you can actually end up procrastinating for 2 hours watching video after video urging you not to waste your time, to get out there and start doing things. But coming back to chance and good luck, I often think back to a novel I read during my teenage years which really had quite a profound impact on me. It's the story of a psychoanalyst, or a psychologist if you will, called Luke Rhinehart. It's also the pen name adopted by the author of the book, which is called The Dice Man. Luke Rhinehart is a middle-aged, disillusioned psychologist who decides to mix up his own life, add a bit of spice, if you will, to a rather mundane existence by coming up with certain pre-established or predetermined possibilities, which are ultimately of 6 in number. These 6 sides of a die, if you will. So these could be any different options, perhaps a couple of things that you would ordinarily do, a couple of more exotic options perhaps, or then things that you really don't want to do, just to trigger perhaps some emotions that you wouldn't necessarily normally experience. People tell us when we get into a rut to change things, a change is as good as a rest. And I am, unfortunately, for the poor interpreter, translating this, coming out with a whole host of different idioms and expressions. Nevertheless, it's a fascinating book because you see just the effect that chance or luck has on Luke Rhinehart's existence, on his life, his relationship with his friends and family, his colleagues, even his standing within his profession. And it's fascinating really because you have this dichotomy. On the one side, you have the notion of chance, of good luck. On the other, ultimately, it is his own choice to establish what the possibilities are on the die. If you don't want to do something, ultimately, you can actually just not put it as one of the options. But being a good sport, Luke Rhinehart often puts things on there that he doesn't necessarily want to do, and the novel, though I don't want to give away the entire plot, does become quite dark. There are even instances of rape and murder, so some serious topics of conversation in there and some serious issues. I feel it's particularly relevant at this moment in time to talk about free will, to talk about good luck and chance and fate, given the outbreak of the coronavirus. At the moment, many of us are housebound, we're quarantined, we're on lockdown, whatever the particular buzzword in use is at that moment in time. Of course, there are slightly different layers of meaning to all of these different terms. That said, we are not really free to do as we please at this moment in time. We are being told, and in some cases it is enforced, that we must stay at home where possible and only leave the house at a bare minimum for essential necessities. So that's all very well and good, and it also brings me to think about the chaos theory, the idea that one thing happens which triggers another thing and it creates a domino effect. Typically, the chaos theory is described as if a butterfly flaps its wings in China, it could create an earthquake in the Pacific. This seems rather eerily telling given the origins of the coronavirus, but that's for another speech and for another day. People are left with plenty of free time on their hands, and now seems like a perfect opportunity to set those goals, to take up that new hobby, to really believe in the mantra of I can, I will, I must. There is less scope for spontaneity. There are fewer opportunities to really experiment with dice therapy, as Luke Reinhardt dubs it. This is ultimately a moment for reflection, an opportunity to really consider what is important about your life, albeit at a time when you can shape it to a lesser extent than ever before. It's certainly an eerie period in our lifetime, particularly for my generation. I don't recall anything like this ever happening before. But ultimately, I'll leave you with this thought. If and when things go back to normal, which camp are you in? Ultimately, do life's achievements and what you ultimately do in the span of your life, do they come down to good luck, to fate, or merely to your own volition? Thank you very much.